We're gonna. So the flexion and extension. So the reason that the tricep, when it flexes and
Mm-hmm.
extends the elbow, is we have to look at the elbow joint, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if we look right here, bring it down a little bit so you can see more. Let's hide. I'm gonna hide everything around this elbow so that you can get a better look at it.
Okay.
So we can see that our tricep, right, it's going to be on your scapula, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to originate at your scapula, and this one is going to originate at the posterior surface of your humerus, right? So we see those two right there. And then
Mm-hmm.
this little guy, he just is there. He doesn't matter right now. So this one, let me hide these. Okay. So we have this one right here. And the long head is the one that does the hyperextension and extension of the humerus on your body.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to originate up there and insert right here on your, what is that? Your, right now, your ulcrana, your ulna, yeah. So right there, it's going to insert right here. So
Mm-hmm.
all the way there, and it inserts right here and crosses that elbow joint, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we flex it, let's see if we can get it to, so when we flex it, we're this way, right?
Yep.
So that tricep muscle is going to be lengthened across our elbow right here.
Okay.
Now, when we extend it right here, we can, let's go to the
It goes.
motion.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to stretch the muscle.
Oh.
Yeah. And now it's going to extend the elbow, right? So that's elbow extension because we're looking at this right here
Mm-hmm.
as kind of like this is like a lever and pulley, right? If you think
Mm-hmm.
about a lever and a pulley, and you have a pulley out there, and your fulcrum is going to be like right here, and you're pulling, and that's going to lift something up. So that's why
Wow.
the concentric action is shortening and extending the elbow.
Okay. It
And
makes
now
okay.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And
Seeing
then
it, it makes sense. Now I
yeah,
know because in my head, when I'm thinking it, well, when we're in extension, you would think that it's longer, but it's not. It gets the muscle, I guess I gets longer once we're in flexion, if that makes sense.
the your opposite muscle is going to get longer. So if we did um flexion of our or if we did elbow flexion, right?
Mhm.
That's going to make our tricep longer. If we did elbow extension, that's going to lengthen our bicep. So we can even see it right here. Do this one right here. So
Our
we're
triceps are
flexing.
yep,
So your tricep is going to get longer. It's
getting
not showing
longer.
it here, but
So the tricep is getting longer when we're in flexion, and then when we're in extension, the bicep is getting longer.
yes, yeah, you can see it right here. It's
Yeah,
lengthening out.
lengthening. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So then I get it. Okay, cool.
All right, and then we can do that with all of our different joints, right? So let's go to leg because this was
Hmm.
another one that you were having a hard time understanding. So if we look at the leg and we'll look at knee flexion right here.
Hmm.
So we see this is getting shorter when this flexes because it contracts, right? All those little muscle fibers are coming together, squeezing together, and then they come out. Squeezing together, and then they come out. And then we can do the same thing with let's do the rectus femoris. That's going to be a good one. So knee extension. You see how it kind of like lengthens in flexion. Now you can imagine your hamstrings pulling this up now that you just saw them, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
And that the concentric action is knee extension.
Okay.
And then we
I'm
can
trying to
also
think of an
do
exercise that would have our that muscle
that
do
would
that.
be like a leg extension, like the seated leg extensions where you kick out.
Yeah. Okay.
That would be that one. And then like the hamstring curls would be the opposite way. And that's why it's really cool. Like knowing anatomy, you can look at somebody and just be like, okay, let's do this and this and this. And then they're like, well, it doesn't feel right. And you can like make small adjustments and be like, how does that feel? And they're like, oh, that's much better because you understand what is supposed to be going on.
Okay.
So this is okay when that does that. This is hip flexion, right? Because we're decreasing space between our trunk and our femur.
Hmm.
I almost called that the humerus. It's been a long day. I didn't even know where the triceps inserted. I was like, where's the ulna? Yes. Uh, so we're creating hip flexion, right?
Hmm.
Right there. It shortens, contracts, just like that. And
Yeah,
then
I'm
if
getting
we
it.
go back, if we go back to let's go hip extension. Now hip extension, we're going behind our body, and that's going to lengthen. If we think about that rectus femoris that was right here, that's going
Mm-hmm.
to lengthen the opposite muscles,
Gotcha.
right? So this
So,
is contracting and it's lengthening.
so when we think about extension
Get
and
out of here.
flexion, it's usually working an opposite muscle, correct?
Yes, you can think of it that way. Like there's opposites. Like something. So in our body, we can only move and the other part's going to have to let go, right? Because it has to be more fluid balance. And when somebody's really rigid, they don't move that well, right?
Mm,
So if
yeah.
we can, the more we're able to flow and create space, the better we're going to move. And we can see even, I'm sure this one is this one going to have one? Yeah, abduction. It doesn't show any. So this is going to be that horizontal abduction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now let's go to horizontal adduction. Not that one. Where at? Shoulder adduction. Down. Transverse adduction. So right here.
Mm-hmm.
Now you saw all those muscles. They would have to give way for your pectoralis to come up here,
Mm.
right? So we see horizontal adduction coming to the midline of the body
Yeah.
right here.
Abduction.
And then we go back here and we look at the abduction. And we can think about our pectoralis major right here. It has to lengthen and create space for this muscle to contract.
Mm. Okay.
You have to have an imagination a little bit because I can't add muscles on this, unfortunately. I think there's a way, but I have not figured that out yet. And
Gotcha.
then let's do abduction. So we got abduction
And
right here.
add.
So this is
Yeah.
AB. So this is
Yeah.
abduction, taking away from the midline of our body, right? So think of
Mm-hmm.
this little guy right here, our spine, as the midline of our body,
Taking
right
away.
there.
Yeah.
Yep. So taking away from the midline of our body. And so adduction, what's adduction going to be?
We're bringing it back to sagittal plane, bringing it back to our body.
Yes. So let's find a muscle that does that, which is going to be adduction, right? So we can see these muscles like your latissimus dorsi and
Mm-hmm.
your teres major and your pectoralis major. Those are lengthening, right?
Mm-hmm.
When the shoulder does abduction. So those have to lengthen and give way for your shoulder to contract right here. And
Okay.
then as it does adduction, your shoulder has to give way and make room for your latissimus dorsi and all those muscles that do adduction to contract.
Interesting. This is really cool.
It is neat, right? Once you kind of like, I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm doing. What am I even thinking about? Like we all have those thoughts. Like when I first started learning anatomy, I was like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. This is terrible. I'm never gonna
Yeah.
get this. But it takes time. It takes a lot of time. And I'm still learning every day. I still learn more.
Yeah.
Chris was quizzing me on a bunch of anatomy stuff today, and I mean, I got it all, but then I was like, that's I didn't think I'd get that. I didn't think I'd get all that, but like, like it's you're smarter than you think you are, and it just takes the right way to learn because everybody's going to see this. Um, and I can post this video hopefully tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Before I end it, do you have more questions?
Not with anatomy per se, but I do have a personal one about my shoulder.
Okay, I will stop this. Okay. Let's see. I am not a doctor. Let me preface that, but I've rehabbed my shoulders a million times.